And I guess we need to make sure we talk at the microphone so it gets recorded. Okay? So if you go to speak, just make sure you're focusing on the microphone. This is a special meeting of the Landscape Advisory Committee, and the sole purpose, or the only item on the agenda, is to look at the proposals that the GSD staff received for doing some landscaping, landscape design on the 4 medians at the north end of Gateway Boulevard where the Royal Palms were taken out. We do have a quorum. One person is missing, Paul Brody. Something came up and could not be here this afternoon, but we do have a quorum, so we can proceed with the meeting. We won't bother approving any meeting minutes because I don't think we have any yet from the last meeting, right? Do we? Oh, okay. But we'll wait and save them for our regular meeting whenever that comes up at the end of the month. So Scott has passed out hard copies of all the proposals that he received. Got proposals from Bruce Howard, Ensight, David Jones, Morris Depew, and Land Architects. And he had also mailed those out to all of us, I don't know, about a week or week and a half ago, as soon as they came in, the end of August. So what we need to do is to pick one to proceed with the design. And I guess first off, Scott, a couple of questions. Who actually makes the selection? Is this you or is it the board?
It's a recommendation from the committee for the staff to make a selection.
Okay.
Um,
So you'll make the selection, you won't go back to the service district board then, is that correct?
Well, the dollar numbers don't require us to, but I think it'd be politically correct to do so.
Okay.
Okay, but
When is the board meeting then, if it's gonna go back to the board?
yeah, the next meeting is the 17th.
17th.
I hope to make a decision prior to that and act on this as the intent, so that we can get going, and these guys have a clock. I'm trying to have it all done by the 1st of October.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering, how all that was gonna fit together, because you won't, unless you just email it to the board members, or,
Let's see what the discussion goes, and
okay. Another question, you got prices from each of the consultants. Since it's professional service, can we select based on price, or do we select based only on qualifications?
I think your recommendation needs to take all that into account. Again, I think we need to look at the qualifications, the pricing, the requirement of the and the intent of the request for the proposal with the meeting the deadlines. Those are probably the 3 main criteria that I see. And do they have the staff to handle it?
Okay. But it doesn't matter if we discuss price, I guess that's my question to you.
I think that plays into it. No, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because some professional services, but I think there's a dollar limit, right? You can't pick based on price? There's a Florida statute that prohibits that?
There might be.
Okay.
We're
Hopefully we're
sort of
onto that number.
fast-tracking this one little segment.
Okay. All right. With that, just, anybody have any thoughts or comments, or anybody want to begin, or?
Well, I'll go ahead and begin. I think we beat a horse, how is it, beat a dead horse here? And I'm kind of disappointed that we've gone from trusting our current landscaper to making a mountain out of a molehill here on these 3 projects, on these 3 medians. And with that being said, the people that we do have, that have made proposals, I think they're all very well qualified. They all have their pros and cons. So I think it's kind of hard. I still believe that we should stay keep the money within Lee County. And I know there's some difference of opinion on that, but I think that over the course of the last 20 years that all of these people that have put their time into this county have proven themselves in one way or the other that they're workable people and they're professional people, and they're as well qualified as anybody outside the area.
Okay, well, that's some good start, comments. Anybody else have any thoughts, or?
I do. I read all of these over 2 or 3 times when Scott sent them on the computer. And I kept going back to Bruce Howard because he was the one that came and talked with us. I liked what he said that day, and I have checked out some of the things he's done. He's got really good ideas. And this is a entrance to our community, and I think he would make it look striking. And I don't believe it'll be moved in 10 years. I've been here long enough to know that if we say 10, it'll be 20. And if it happens then. So I think it ought to be done right, and I think Bruce Howard would do a great job. And he worked with Scott O'Connell, or McConnell, wasn't that his name? That moved the palm trees?
Al O'Donnell.
Okay. He worked with him, and they worked good together, so.
Okay. Have any thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, I also reviewed the proposals. Yeah, you know, Bruce is very qualified. I liked some of his designs he has done in the past, but he is out of area. It appears to me that he's using this price to springboard into trying to get the major project, which is, you know, no problem, but it's just, I'd like to keep money in Lee County myself. I think Insight also has done some additional nice projects from what I can tell. And, you know, out of those two, to me, if we're looking at just the pricing.
Is Insight in Lee County?
Yeah.
Well, Bruce Howard's just in Naples, isn't he?
No, he's actually from Miami.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of work on the West Coast, but he's actually from Miami.
Yeah.
But he's not charging us for travel expense.
That's true, and whoever does the work has to go in front of Lee County, is that my understanding, for the, to get it approved anyway.
Yeah, Lee County DOT Roadway Advisory Beautification Committee, they got a long,
Can I just ask Paul maybe a clarification on that process? I thought it was sort of our intent to, with whoever we choose to design this, is to come up with a conceptual plan, or in their process of designing the conceptual plan, is we're not required to get the county DOT to sign off. It's not their road yet, but we are working with them, and it would behoove us to do a complimentary review with them to see if, or have our designer do it, so that we know that we're within the guidelines, or if they have any severe heartburn with one item or another. I mean, we don't need them to take it the full approval process. Am I?
I believe that's correct. It's not a county roadway, so the county really, literally has no say in what you do out there now. They would have a say when you go to turn the road over. So if you do something that's not acceptable to them, then they're gonna make you remove it or redo it or whatever at that point in time. But as far as actually going to the RLAC for approval, I don't think that's really necessary. I think the county staff will review it, and if they don't see any design issues, site distance issues, maintenance issues, that sort of thing, they'll probably say, yeah, we take no exception to it, and let it go through the process. And so the RLAC would never see it. If it has to go to the Landscape Advisory Committee, you can forget Scott's October 2nd, unless we're talking about October 2nd, 2016.
Right.
well,
So
what,
it'll be-
what you guys are clarifying then is that this is still a private road
Correct,
when we do the landscaping.
correct.
Yes, yes.
That we may have to change.
But,
Well,
you
it
know,
still needs to follow the leascape and, you know, all that.
right, we want
Ford-friendly.
it to be designed according to,
Right,
but,
DOT specs.
yes, yes.
Well,
With
several of these
pushing the
men
envelope
mentioned
of some
that.
of their criteria,
Right,
That was expressed at our last.
These men mentioned that, so they're aware of it.
They all know it.
Several
I
of
told them
them.
all, I think I spoke to every one of them.
And they all mentioned it in their,
Yep. And I expressed what I just explained, I expressed to them as that's our intent and our understanding. Some did take it the extra steps going to the other committees. The other thing I just want y'all to know is that we did the public advertisement for the landscape design for the entire community roadway network. And we not only did public notice, but we also sent a special notice to these 6 designers as well. Okay, so I think they all are going to respond to that next week. Or actually, I think it's tomorrow is a deadline. And I've already received one submittal. So they're all on an even playing field, is what I'm trying to tell you.
so you're saying that they keep the medium in mind as well as the rest of the boulevard? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I think these 6 folks are also gonna, they know about the bigger picture.
Oh, so they may bid, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
No, there's 5, right?
5, okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry, 5, yeah.
All right. Make sure I'm not missing.
No,
something.
no,
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry.
I got a couple of comments. First off, I
Okay.
agree with JB that they're equally all qualified to do the job. I don't really think that there's anybody that's on this list that couldn't do a good job from a landscape perspective. As Kevin suggested, if we're talking about price, I think we're looking at Bruce Howard or Ensight. You know, they're both at $6,000. Ensight has listed what their expenses would be. Bruce Howard is not. He just said plus expenses, so who knows who comes in cheaper when it comes to the expense side. And I also don't know, I'm not sure that I would say he's not gonna charge us for travel time, because he kinda left that, he didn't, I don't think he said that anywhere in his proposal. He
I
didn't
thought I read
include-
that.
Yeah, I think I read that he did
Did
say.
he?
Is that what you saw,
Yeah.
Scott?
I can't.
It was-
no,
it was
yeah.
Well,
specified in
for
there.
travel time, and I'm
That,
just wondering about the
please note,
expenses
there
that
are
go
no
with it.
travel expenses associated with this project.
Right.
Right, but then he says plus expenses.
But he notes that it's if we change our mind about something.
Well, that could be, I don't know, that's just
a
my
question
thought, I
mark,
still think it's a
yeah.
little bit open-ended. I do think, and not necessarily totally agree with what JB and Kevin said as far as picking somebody local, but I do think we should pick somebody with Lee County experience. And that does eliminate anybody that's actually not local. The other 4 individuals have all done landscape design for the county. They know exactly what the county's looking for, and they know who to talk to about issues that might come up when it comes to the design and how far they can push things. I think that Morris DePew actually probably did the best job in laying out the design standards, although they're obviously a few $1,000s higher than anybody else. But I like their proposal and the fact that they did outline what all those standards were as far as site distance and clear zones and all that sort of thing. So again, they're very keen on what needs to be met as far as the standards are concerned. As I said, I don't think Bruce has any Lee County DOT experience. Yes, he's designed landscape on roadways in the county, but not that are controlled by Lee County or controlled by a municipality. And I'd actually even question his roadway experience based on a phone conversation I had with him and his understanding of what the design standards really say. And he actually made the comment that Lee County has violated their own standards all over the county, and I take exception to that since I was in charge of the county's landscaping for a long period of time. But that's neither here nor there, that's his opinion, so.
Well, if you're talking about expenses, he's only 4,250 more. That's not that much.
Morris DePew?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think if Scott were to go to the board and say, we got one guy at 6,000 and one guy at 10,000, and we wanna pick the 10,000, even though $4,000 may not be a lot of money, the percentage is huge and he'd probably get hung.
That's what I'm saying. I
You
don't
were-
think he'd run into any
We're talking
problem.
about experience within the county discussion. That was Bruce Howard, am I correct?
Yeah, I don't think he's done anything for Lee County.
Okay, I
He's
know-
done things in the county,
Yeah, okay.
right, but not on a county roadway or a roadway that's controlled by any municipality when it was originally designed.
Yeah, he's listing Three Oaks Parkway and Coconut Road. Would those be considered? Lee
They are
County?
now. They were turned over to the county after about a 4 or 5 year turnover process.
Oh, so he did the work before the
Yeah.
county, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the whole road was built by, who are the developers? Benita Bay.
Benita Bay, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, he's done a lot of work for them, I was.
right. So that's kind of my thought. So I guess we got everybody's opinions. We just need to decide how do we move forward. If somebody wants to make a motion, do we need to discuss it more?
Well, there's a couple ways to look at it, you know, and, you know, there's only 5 competing, and, you know, one simplification is you eliminate the low and the high, and you look at the ones in the middle. You know, that doesn't give you the lowest price, but, you know, it's not an exorbitant price either. You know, each of these folks in their own way have even, I think, contributed something in the thought process. You know, if you look at Morrison Depew, I think their plant plan, and that's not to say that the plant plan isn't subject to change in regards to our opinions on, you know, what, based on experience and kind of how we visualize that entranceway. But I thought that was a little bit more creative than Insight, but at the same time, having worked with 3 out of the 5 and known Bill Prissy from the Lee County Roadway Landscape Board, it's a flip of a coin.
Mhm.
They're all very professional. I do know, like with Dave Jones, that, because it seemed to be a couple of these were specific in regards to only one meeting, that in our experience with Dave Jones, you know, that is kind of meaningless. You know, if you say you need him here tomorrow, but then all of a sudden in the middle of the night you had a thought change or a whatever, you know, they're more than welcome.
Then you're gonna pay for another meeting?
No,
No?
no, that's what I'm saying. They're more than willing to make sure that
Okay.
the client
Okay.
is satisfied, where I think a couple of them did say, other than one meeting, everything else was an additional charge.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Well, and that's probably in a way why David's a couple $1,000s higher, because he is covering
Yeah,
that what-if
sure.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
I did speak to the county about, you know, the individuals on the list, and didn't get any negatives on any of them really, so I think the county's been satisfied with any of the projects they've done for them. So does somebody wanna venture to a motion to pick someone, or at least maybe to rank a couple of them for more discussion, or how do y'all wanna proceed?
Well, let's
Wanna
go.
flip a coin?
Why don't we discuss Bruce Howard, Insight, and the one you were talking about was Morris Depew. Let's eliminate David Jones and Land Architects. Are you okay with that? And then discuss the 3 that are left.
Yeah, Land Architects, that's Bill Pricey, the one that JB had mentioned, and certainly
Yeah.
Bill's very capable, but yeah, his dollar amount is way up there, so I don't have any
And
problem.
then this David Jones, nobody is, did you say anything nice about him? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Jones has done a lot of work in the county. He's been around, in fact, he may be one of the longest
Yeah.
people here in the county from doing landscape architectural work.
Well, then let's just eliminate one, Land Architects, and discuss the other 4.
Again, I guess part of my problem is he gets right back to, they're all capable, they're all gonna do a good job. And I think maybe that's why Kevin was suggesting money probably ends up being high in the selection process, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Are the other 3 on there eliminating Bruce Howard, are the other 3 from Lee County?
Yes, yeah. Like I said, David's probably been here the longest. Insight, I don't know how long they've been around. I know Jonathan has been doing landscape design work since the county started it, because he was working for Johnson back then.
They, They opened that firm in 2005,
2005, okay.
so it's been,
But I know Jonathan's been doing, county work, like I said, since 98 or 99, something like that, whenever he graduated from school, I guess.
But now you work with these men all the time, don't you?
No, Jerry would work with them more than I do.
So you don't run into any, you see their work.
Yes.
Have they all done work for the city?
Insight is on contract. You know, we have continuing contracts where you have a list of 5 people and then you kind of do a round robin thing on who's the next batter. And so we've done work with Dave Jones and we've done work with Insight. And say Bill Prissy, you know, I've come in contact with him in regards to our experiences together on the Lee County Beautification Roadway Board. And Morrison Depew, the landscape architect who had worked with me on a park project, he's actually not with them anymore. James, put me on the spot here. He's another LSU graduate, like their head architect now. He's very good. I think he went independent. But here again, you know, as much as I like the plant plan with Morrison Depew, I really think for, you know, what we're looking at for 3 islands is, I think they're a little bit too expensive too.
I felt that way too.
You know, here again, even though the
Even though it's only $4,000, it might be 4,000 we could use somewhere else.
well, you could use it to buy the plants.
How do you feel about that, Doug?
Well, yeah, I agree. I did like their proposal and their list of plants. Also, Insight also provided a list of plants in their proposal.
Right.
Mhm.
So it kind of gives you a little more insight of what they're thinking.
Mhm.
No pun intended. More, it gives them a peek behind the curtain there, if you will, of what they're looking at. So,
And I don't think any of that is written in stone.
No, it's not.
I think, you know, Insight tried to stay with a very conservative, safe palette. That doesn't mean that, you know, if we have other thoughts, that they wouldn't incorporate those. They're just trying to, I think, give us a starting point on where their views are with
Yeah,
the
right,
medians that
right.
they've dealt with throughout the county. I still come back here again to the, you know, trying to keep what we're doing local. And, you know, I travel Livingston Road a lot. My daughter goes to school down on that road, so we see that road 5-6 times a week. And one of the projects, and I think probably everybody has, because a project is only as good as its maintenance
Mhm.
in the long run, but I don't see anything in that Mediterra area that is a wow effect other than annuals.
And who did that?
Well, he did the design work at the entranceway, but I don't see that along their whole, you know, half mile or whatever they have of landscape. You know, I still see the same basic plants, the variegated arboricola,
Yep.
which you're so proud of.
Yep.
In a sarcastic way.
Yep.
You know, we all have our likes and dislikes. I see a lot of Fexahatchee grass in there, and you know, that's.
That's this
just a
David
filler.
Jones,
No, that went with Mr. Howard's.
Mr. Howard.
Design work. But, you know, here again, it goes back to even when you look at some of the pictures that David Jones has in here, and, you know, a design,
They're not overwhelming.
no, a design is only as good as its maintenance. So as time goes on, you know, these things, some are good, some are bad, but, you know, they all have their idiosyncrasies depending on how much money is spent to maintain the
Right.
property.
yeah, I would agree that David Jones' designs in his proposal were not a wow factor. I mean, that's what you would get more of a wow factor out of Bruce Howard because he did so much Bonita Bay work. And seems like somebody else had did Insight do Treviso Bay? Did I read that?
I think so. Well, I wasn't really saying a wow factor even with there, that's what I said, other than a bunch of annuals being used at the entrance way to Mediterra, I didn't say anything, I'd do jumping jacks over it. And, you know, as we get into these things and we discuss budgets or whatever, this direction this
This is the one you were talking
this
about.
board goes to, you know, direction we go, you know, I think we can spend our money better on, even if it was perennials, rather than to think about changing out annuals every time.
Right.
Especially
No, I
with the
understand.
cost of
Right.
labor. So, you know, we have philosophies there that we have to discuss.
Well, there's nothing that forces us to pick the next guy based on this. I mean, whoever's gonna do this, and this is a smaller job.
Separate entity,
Right.
correct.
Separate deal, and we're just gonna get
Right.
we're gonna, I keep using that word, we're gonna get a picture of what they can do,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I think, you know, whether it's them or somebody else, you know, if we have some kind of theme when we start discussing this with whoever we choose, you know, we keep that theme in the back of our head that this is kind of where we're going
Well, you know,
for the
they,
rest of the road.
like Scott said, they know about the boulevard, so they're really gonna make this medium pop in order to get this other job.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
Well,
Well-
if I listen to you guys, what you're saying, I think that you're both at least putting Insight above Bruce Howard and Dave Jones, and there may be Bruce Howard and Dave Jones both at number 2, if we were ranking them. Is that what you're saying, where you're going?
No, I'm kind of at the conundrum of Insight and Dave Jones because they're both local. The thing that draws me back to Dave Jones is that they do everything in-house. The other partner, Greg DeSario in here, if you read all this, he's become a certified, what is it here, Florida Water Star accredited irrigation professional, which means he's has passed their certification in regards to xeriscaping technique and updated irrigation concepts.
You know, it's kind of hard for me because the only one I've spoke with is Bruce Howard.
Right.
And JB knows most of them, as do you two. So my vote's still for Bruce Howard because he's the only one I know. If you can understand that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, that's why we're.
Because he
trying to
came
come
here
to
and talked
consensus.
to us, remember?
Right.
And I thought he was really nice and I liked his ideas, but I don't have anything else to go on except what you all are telling me.
Well, here again, I found Insight to be flexible.
Well, so did, God, I can't think of his first name.
Paul?
The guy.
Kevin.
Kevin. So did Kevin. You thought Insight was,
Yeah, I just,
And that's kind of what I was suggesting. I thought that where you two guys were going is you put Insight first and the other two behind them, and maybe it's Insight and then Dave Jones and then Bruce Howard,
Yeah.
but,
that sounds like what they said, yes.
if that's the case, I mean, we're all heading in the same direction, and that would be to provide the recommendation that we go with Insight.
I second the motion.
yeah.
All right, any further discussion? Anybody opposed? So the
I'll say
motion-
I'm opposed, because
You're opposed, okay. So the motion carries 3-1. So our recommendation to you, Scott, is to move forward with Insight.
That's probably.
Where's
a
there
good
a,
choice.
did each of you do a
Yeah,
ranking on?
this is almost like disclosure.
No, I think we did kind of a joint ranking. We listed Insight first, Dave Jones second, and Bruce Howard third.
Okay, that's what I thought, and that's, okay. All right. Okay,
And we have had a general consensus on that ranking. I can't say it was unanimous.
But that's okay, because I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. So does that give you what you need?
yeah, I think, I think we're good. I just wanna thank you and applaud you for your time and effort, because this isn't easy to read through all this stuff.
Yeah.
And,
It was a good weekend reading.
let me go to the next steps and get it going and sign the agreement and let me, see what process I need to go through on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Scott-
Scott, one thing I think, Paul brought it up earlier, you know, a lot of those proposals are talking about they gotta go to Lee County. And yeah, that's a courtesy thing, but I think, quite a few of them said, hey, we need to go in front of the advisory board, and it's not their road. So I
Not
think
yet,
that's a
right.
very good point.
Right.
I don't think you wanna get held up, you know, saying, oh, I gotta wait for the Lee County meeting when
No.
you don't.
correct.
So I wanna make sure that the Insight knows that.
All right, I sort of the same, I think they would bring their conceptual plan here, and then once it, in general, agreement, maybe we run it by Lee County at the same time while they're working on the next
Just the
steps.
county staff.
County staff only,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Now, talking about their concept, should we discuss any of that in regards to giving you some things that what we're looking at,
That's
rather
a
than
good
starting
idea.
at ground zero where he comes in with his opinion?
Absolutely. I mean, I know it's been bantered back and forth on some preliminaries. If you can come up with some basics, criteria or
Yeah.
parameters, is that what you're trying to do?
Well, I mean, you know, as I suggested earlier, I'm not necessarily in regarding the things that he suggests. I know these things work, but I think over the course of, you know, past experiences too, we found out that a few other things work that may be low maintenance. You know, the one thing that drives me nuts with the ornamental grasses is, you know, once every 6 months or so, they come in
Yes.
with a chainsaw massacre. So I
Right.
don't think you've accomplished, you know, this look.
So we don't want that.
So, right, we definitely don't want something like that. I think there are other alternatives that could be used,
I agree.
you know, to enhance the thing, but at the same time, still keep in mind the low maintenance. And, you know, Ellie may even have some thoughts to go in with this too, because, I mean, she's dealt with this for how many years?
Going almost 9.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, she, I'm sure, is familiar where I can tell you a story about McGregor Boulevard and Mr. Kelly, A.W. Kelly's got arrested, so, and he told me, nobody knows it, but there's a sand ridge right here on McGregor Boulevard, and if you don't water those palms extra, you know, you're always gonna have problems there, and, you know, it's like, yeah, but we've learned the hard way, and kinda, I'm sure
That
Ellie
he was
knows
right.
some microclimates on this street that we probably need to be aware of, that certain things will work or won't work.
Well,
So, I'm just saying that, but I thought that maybe, you know, there's gotta be maybe a type of bromeliad or two that could kinda start that philosophy down the road, that are low maintenance, zero escape, Florida friendly, you know. that-
Perennial peanut.
Yeah, things like that in the full sun that, you know, when they bloom, it's hard to beat and it's low to no maintenance.
Would a good way to do that, Scott, maybe, is if any of us have any thoughts, just put them in an email to Diane, along with any thoughts Elle may have, and,
Yeah, you can email them direct to Elle, and then she'll consolidate them,
okay,
and then we'll share that
okay.
Absolutely.
with Insight.
Absolutely.
But to let Insight know that they're not nailed to the cross on what we say.
Right, we're just,
Correct.
thoughts
The
that
recommended
some of the committee members have, right.
Options, yeah, yes,
Yeah, options, that's a good way to say it, just some
Yeah.
optional plans
Yeah.
for
for
the palette.
consideration, yeah.
Yep,
We
I agree
wouldn't
with
be mad
Jerry on
at
the
you if you
ornamental
used
grasses,
these.
and I actually have them at my house, and they look great for very little time.
What's that?
Yeah,
Ornamental
I know,
grass.
I know.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they were so overused in Gateway.
Yeah.
yeah, they were.
What?
I had them and I stopped trimming them, I found out that didn't work well either.
No, and then the spider mites take over,
Right.
Time of the year.
so.
Okay, so with that, we just need a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
That's it, meeting done?
All right, again, thank you all,
That was harmless.
wonderful. All right.
Careful what we wish for.
Well, I tell you, I think we did, I think it's good work.
I gotta do the next slide.
So when is the next meeting?
Able
Is
to
it
move
the fourth?
forward with
The
it.
next meeting,